We are in the home stretch. Let's talk about Project 4, the interactive PDF. Okay, so in this project, the main things that you'll be learning are how to design and lay out a multi-page document, how to create some unity between those pages, how to create a hierarchy of type and different kinds of organizing elements to make your style look consistent across multiple pages. And so you will be including the projects you've already done. So this is also a self-assessment piece, as well as an assessment piece that we use in the department to gauge how well students are learning their digital skills in 317. And because it is an interactive PDF, there will be some interactive elements that you will build into this document. It says here, your document will be 5 vertical letter size pages. So you're using like the 8.5 by 11 vertical. The first page is going to be your front cover, your title page. Second page will be your table of contents, and that table of contents will have multiple interactive elements on it. And then your 3 interior pages, pages 3, 4, and 5, will be where you will show examples of your projects 1, 2, and 3, along with a self-assessment. So page 3 will be your typography poster. Page 4 will be your B-movie poster. And page 5 will be your video and a screenshot of maybe a key scene from the video, as well as a link to where the video is going to play. You're going to use master pages, character styles. We'll talk about those on Tuesday. Paragraph styles and object styles, probably. You will need to at least use a paragraph style to define your table of contents type. Okay, so you'll be working in InDesign and in a workspace known as the interactive PDF workspace. Well, I'll show you where you can change the workplaces from your essential to your advanced to your interactive. But you'll be working mostly within the interactive PDF workspace to create the interactive features. You will need to include a working link to your CSUF email. And like I said, your table of contents, your typography poster, your B-movie poster, and your video. In addition, on each page, you'll have forward and back buttons so that I can click on it and move forward or backwards, as well as a link to get me back to the table of contents page. On each one of these pages, for pages 3, 4, and 5 for your project assignments, you're going to include a brief self-assessment talking about what you've learned in doing those 3 assignments. So probably focus on maybe a concept that was covered in the readings or the video lectures and how you applied that concept that you learned. Maybe talk a little bit about the skills or techniques that you learned in doing that particular project. And then kind of self-evaluate. What do you think you did well, and what would you maybe do differently now that you've had a chance to learn a little bit more, or if you had more time to devote to that particular assignment. And then, yes, we're also going to try to focus on, within the very short time that we have, trying to do a nice, clean layout that has a good focal point, a good entry point for the eye, that has consistent layout elements and good eye flow within. Okay, you will turn this in on Portfolium as well as on Canvas, and so we'll talk about that on Tuesday as well. And it's due the last day of the summer term. So if you do not yet have a Portfolium account, go into the Canvas page. Here we are, week 4. Go into the module right between week 4 and week 5. It says click here to create your Portfolium account if you don't have one. So please do that before Tuesday. This is a requirement on this assignment. If you don't provide a screenshot that shows that your interactive PDF is on Portfolium, you'll lose 20 points. So that's a lot to lose. So make sure you get that Portfolium account set up and that you know how to upload elements, upload files to it. A few examples of some student previous interactive PDFs, give you a little bit of an idea. So all of these will have basically the same interactive features. So here is the title page. I leave it up to you whether you want to put interactive features on the title page. You know, perhaps if you're going with a full page photo or something like that, it might not be real visible, but it's up to you. You can, so in this case, Emily's got the page forward button and has removed the page back button because there's no way to go back from page one, correct? So she's got digital foundations, name, title. We're seeing kind of a theme here of kind of a muted color, kind of between a pink and a red, and geometric shapes and the repetition of geometric shapes and some bordering. Okay, so you click on the page forward button, it should go forward, right? So it goes to page 2. We see a continuation of the theme of the geometric shapes and the consistent color. Now we've got a page back. And then here is the interactive functions within the table of contents. So on your table of contents page, you'll have your email. You could also put that on page 1 if you prefer. It doesn't really matter to me where you put it. And then a bit of a bio along with a photo of you. It should probably be a really well composed photo rather than this looks kind of like a senior picture. I'd rather kind of see a well composed photo that you have taken or directed of you. And then we've got our links to projects. So if I click on typography poster, it takes me to page 3. And then there's the continuation of the design themes, and now we've got a back to table of contents link. So I click that, it takes me back to page 2. B movie poster takes me to the movie poster, obviously, and then back to page, the contents page. This was a project multi-page layout that you did not do in the shortened summer class. Goes to there, and then a link to the video. And then so there's the video page and the self-assessment, and the link should be visible there. And I think I showed you the
Hi guys, my name is
storyboard
Emily
for this.
Castillo, and this is my video, A Can's Life, which is a...
Yeah, it's kind of the video of the rolling can. Okay. Second one here, let's go to title page. I've got kind of a floral or plant kind of design with different shades of green, and then she put her email link on the title page, and then bio, and same kind of thing. We've got our links to the various projects, page forward, page back, table of contents. Get to the video. And there's the link to the video, and so forth. And this student, you know, she did a nice job of keeping basically the very consistent design theme within each one of those pages. She varied some of the content within the vertical rectangles, but it's a very similar kind of way, and it stays with her particular theme. This one, Elena Malek. Again, we've got kind of looks like a black and white photo, plant background. Go into the table of contents page, and consistent use of type there. Links to the posters and the other projects. You can see the email, the video, and then a link to a Dropbox hosted video site. Okay, Caitlin Elpedes. So hers is looks more like a scrapbook kind of theme, right? So we'll expect to see that texture and that kind of background collage look continued throughout the rest of the project. Email address, links, and thumbnails of the projects. I think it's a nice idea to have thumbnails of them on here as well. Typography poster, self-assessment, go back, table of contents, movie poster. I think I showed you this one in class. Page forward, page back works, multi-page layout, and like I said, continues that theme. Click on that, and we get to she did a movie trailer for the 50 Shades of Grey B-movie poster that she did.
So you want a monochrome mural for the office?
And then this one I think is a cute concept. Diana picked up the idea of using the New Yorker theme style. So she did a good job matching the type and the layout style and the cartoon style with I have worked extremely hard in COMM 317. Get to project pages, and all of the interactive features work, and continued that theme primarily through the use of the white space and the folios that would be very similar to the New Yorker. So that's how she kind of carried through her design theme. So hopefully it's useful to see these. You have this set of projects in a zip folder on Canvas if you want to download those and take a little closer look at how the PDFs were constructed. Let's take a brief look at the InDesign interface. InDesign is probably new to most of you. It tends to be the application that the fewest 317 students have had any experience with. InDesign is a publication layout application. Okay, so its real strength is in putting together multi-page documents, and in particular periodicals. It was really designed for the newspaper and magazine industry, where you're going to be having certain kinds of templates, certain kind of styles that you will repeat over and over from one issue of the publication to the next, and so that you can save those styles and not have to recreate them every single time. To make a new file, and I'm going to set up this file the same way that you're going to want to set up your interactive PDF file. So I'll click on New File, and let me slide this over to this monitor. And as you're used to seeing on these new document previews, you've got some different options. Okay, for print, web, mobile. We're going to go with web. Okay, and if we go with print, that's going to put us into CMYK color mode and 300 resolution, which we don't want for an interactive document that's going to be viewed only on screen. So we're going to go with the web as the document type, but then instead of going with some of the default web page sizes, we're going to click on letter size. Okay, so this is something that could be viewed vertically, say on a tablet, and display very well. So we're going to go with web and letter size, and then this gives us all the preset details. So if you don't really think in pixels, go ahead and change that to inches, and you'll see that's 8.5 by 11. We want our orientation, yes, to be on the vertical or the portrait size, and then number of pages. Okay, so we're going to make this 5 pages, and if you forget and don't set that up, you can add or delete pages later. We are not going to go with facing pages. Facing pages would be like magazine style or print document style, where you have a left and a right page, but that doesn't really make that much sense on an interactive document. So we're going to just leave the facing pages unchecked, and then start with page number 1. If you want a primary text frame, I don't recommend it for this kind of document, but it's useful if you're doing something book length that has a lot of text. And basically what it's saying is it's going to put a text frame on every page that is the size of the page, but we don't really need that here. Okay, number of columns, gutter width, and then our margins. I'm going to leave the margins at a 1/2 inch. You can change those if you wish. I probably wouldn't go much less than a 1/2 inch, but if you do, maybe a tiny bit smaller at the bottom. For columns, I'm going to go with 3 columns here. because we don't really have a lot of time to talk about grid structures and say the 4 and the 6 column grid structures that are widely used, but a 3 column grid structure is probably pretty good for this particular project where we have just a few pages in letter size. But you can set this as you wish. And then we click Create. And then up comes our document, and you can see our 3 preset columns there. Okay, so as we look at the interface here, we've got by default our type across the top here. Some of these tools are going to look familiar to you and it'll look a little bit more similar to Illustrator than Photoshop, but we have a selection tool which selects an entire object, or a direct selection tool which you can use to select part of an object or a particular point on an object and things like that. Page tool, I usually use the pages over here, and these next 2 tools, the gap tool and the content collector tool, I've never really used those. The text tool or the type tool will work very similar to things that you've seen before, and you do have a type on a path tool similar to Illustrator. You've got a line tool which does lots of different types of lines, but like in Illustrator, that line tool then I think would also give you different shapes. But you get the pen tool, pencil tool, and now we have 2 rectangle tools, and they both have options underneath there for other kind of, if I hold it down, other kind of geometric shapes, ellipses and polygons. But the difference between the frame tool, the rectangle frame tool, and just the rectangle tool, the rectangle frame tool would be you place your rectangle, and then that becomes a placeholder or a frame, like a picture frame, for you to put something in, such as a photograph or a graphic that you've already created, already sized in a different application program. So you'll be using the frame tool a lot as you import the images of your other 3 projects and thumbnails of them and things of that nature. We'll play with that a little bit in the lab assignment with InDesign. If you want to use just the rectangle tool, that would be for just, say, creating a geometric shape that you want to put color, say a fill color in or something like that. Even though you can put fill colors in these frame tools, their real purpose is for you to put content inside of it, whereas the rectangle tool or the ellipse tool is to use as a geometric kind of color shape. This is where you will do scaling or transforming, the rotate and scale, things like that. Gradient tool works the same as it does in Illustrator. And then your stroke and fill works the same as it does in Illustrator as well. Let's look at the workspaces. I am in the interactive for PDF workspace. Yours is probably going to be in the essentials or the advanced or something when you first launch InDesign, but you change your workspace simply right there where the arrow is. And so I'm going to go into the essentials workspace. But notice when you do change workspaces, I'll go back to interactive for a second, your available options on your right side navigation change, and that's one of the primary things here. So when we're in the interactive, that's where we can do things like hyperlinks and bookmarks. Okay, if we're in our essentials, that's going to give us a different set and really focus on like properties of objects and things like that more so than the interactive space does. Okay, most of your workspaces will have a Pages tab, and the Pages tab is where you can add pages, move pages around if you get the order wrong and things like that, and also where you assign a master page, or as InDesign calls them now, a parent page. And think of a parent page as basically being a template where you can have some content already pre-decided that will appear on every one of those pages to which you assign that master page. Now these are all set at master or parent A by default because that's the only one we have. But if as we create additional master or parent pages, then you can change which ones get which content. And this is especially important when we start working with the page folios that you're going to have, which will have page numbers, your forward and back buttons, and your back to table of contents button. Just a very brief intro to the InDesign workspace. You've got your pull-down menus, which are going to be very similar to your other Adobe applications, and you can we'll go through some of these when we start working on the lab on Tuesday. And we'll spend a lot of time in class actually doing this lab. But do before class on Tuesday, if you're able to, look at some of those intro InDesign tutorials and just kind of open up InDesign and take it for a little bit of a test drive, and you'll start to feel a little bit more comfortable with how this application works.